John Force never raced a single lap in NASCAR, yet somehow it still feels like he belonged there from the start. For decades, Force stood as the towering figure of NHRA drag racing, a 16-time funny car champion whose personality was even bigger than his trophy case. But the more we look back on his career, the clearer it becomes that the world of stock car racing might have been an equally perfect stage for him. Even without ever making an official NASCAR start, Force flirted with the sport just enough to make fans wonder what might have been. A drag racing icon with one foot in NASCAR. Throughout his career, Force often turned up at NASCAR Cup Series events. He admired the spectacle, enjoyed the crowds, and liked mixing with the stock car stars. He joked that the only time he turned left was when his funny car caught fire. And that was typical John Force humor, quick and sharp. Behind the jokes, though, he really did explore the idea of running a NASCAR team. Sponsors approached him more than once, and his wide business network put him in the same circles as top NASCAR organizations. Corporate crossovers even led him to participate in exhibition match races against Cup Series drivers. In 1993, he took a more serious step when he attended Buck Baker's famous driving school at Rockingham Speedway. To his surprise, he adapted fast. Baker famously told him he ran fast enough to qualify at Daytona. Force, in his usual self-deprecating style, shrugged it off. "He probably just told me that." Whether Baker meant it or not, it showed Force wasn't a one-dimensional driver. He could handle a stock car. He just chose a different path. Ironically, he had once promised during a celebrity softball game that he would never drive a tin can if they gave me one. That was Force being Force, loud, bold, and always entertaining. But over time, as he mingled more with NASCAR drivers from the South, he gained a deep respect for the discipline. And in many ways, he fit their world perfectly. Why John Force was the most NASCAR-like NHRA driver in history. If you could take the essence of NASCAR's greatest champions, their swagger, their grit, their charisma, and blend it into one human being, the result would look a lot like John Force. The star power of Richard Petty. Force was one of the few racers who could attract a crowd simply by walking through the pits. He signed more autographs than almost anyone, and his 157 career wins put him in a league few drivers in motorsports can touch. The fearlessness of Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt intimidated with silence. Force intimidated with noise. He talked big, raced bigger, and used mind games like a weapon. His approach was different, but the competitive fire was the same. The humor and flair of Darrell Waltrip. No one in racing history delivered interviews like John Force. He could turn a simple question into a wild, hilarious tangent about life, culture, or current events. Reporters loved it. PR teams feared it. Fans couldn't get enough of it. Force was lightning in a bottle, unpolished, unpredictable, and unforgettable, winning over NASCAR's biggest personalities. Even NASCAR legends embraced him. Bruton Smith, one of the most influential promoters in stock car history, was so impressed by Force that he named the main grandstand of ZMAX Dragway after him. Force, naturally, joked that Smith put his name up there without paying him. Smith laughed and welcomed him as one of us. At events, even in crowds filled with Cup Series champions like Greg Biffle and Matt Kenseth, Force often stole the show. Kenseth once said, "I don't know if there's another John Force in the universe." And he meant it. Force had that rare ability to walk into any motorsports garage, NASCAR, NHRA, IndyCar, and instantly feel like he belonged. A retirement that feels like an end of an era. Recently, Force announced his retirement at age 76. In classic Force fashion, the announcement came unexpectedly during a media event. No build-up, no strategy, just John being John. His decision comes nearly 18 months after a violent crash in Virginia left him with a traumatic brain injury. The recovery was long and difficult, but the competitor inside him never faded. Even though the NHRA finale in Pomona was canceled due to monsoon conditions, fans and teams still filled the pits, sharing stories and memories of the man who shaped the sport for more than 4 decades. They spoke of a racer who felt more like a friend. The blue-collar megastar who somehow made millions of people believe they could hang out with him over a beer. Funny car champion Ron Capps put it perfectly. He was just an old truck driver, right? That's how Force made people feel. Approachable, relatable, authentic. Why NASCAR still needs a John Force? NASCAR never got the full Force experience on the track, but maybe it could still learn something from him. As the sport debates future rules and formats, especially how to spotlight the next generation of young winners, Force's approach offers a lesson. Talent matters, but personality builds legends. Force understood that racing is more than speed. It's storytelling. It's connection. It's making fans care. He once said, "Some say I'm the voice of NHRA. Some say I'm a big mouth. Maybe I am, but that's how we preach the gospel." In every motorsport, that gospel is simple. Make people love the sport by loving the people in it. John Force preached it better than anyone. Final thoughts. John Force may never have turned a lap in NASCAR, but his spirit, humor, and competitiveness fit the stock car world like a glove. He was the kind of driver who could have ruled any racing series he touched. Drag racing got him. NASCAR didn't. But both worlds know exactly what they missed. A once-in-a-lifetime character who elevated racing everywhere he went. And even though John Force never raced in NASCAR, it still feels like he was always part of the family.